this morning, but that's a rough one. Hold on. Get over here. How we doing? Good. Hope everybody had good holidays. We are, we're blessed to be here. The All-State Sugar Bowl and the people in New Orleans have done a fantastic job. The couple days I've been down here, this is a little bit new for me. Being in the National Football League for 17 years. Very impressed with everything outside of just the game. Talking about the game, tremendous challenge ahead of us. The best defense we've played. Have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Venables after spending nearly a month of studying the things that he does. Very difficult scheme. Has exceptional players. They're well coached. They're #1 for a reason in the country. It'll be a big time challenge for us. We've been working hard. We've still got a few days to go ahead and tighten up some details and really get after it on the practice field and in the classroom, making sure we cross all our T's and dot all our I's. Blessed to be here. Looking forward to being part of this game, but still got a lot of work ahead of us. And against the best team we played, a team that really hasn't given up hardly any points, 30 points one time in all the games they've played against NC State, and only 2 other times they've given up more than 20. So you're talking about a stifling defense with exceptional playmakers and a very difficult scheme. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Coach Daboll, with the game 2 weeks until the play, has it been a challenge to keep your guys focused in practice, or have you seen that take?
No, I think look, we're charged with the task to go out there and perform as best as we can perform, and to have an opportunity to play in this game and to get into this tournament here. Everybody's focused. We've been preparing very hard. We understand the challenge that is ahead of us, but these guys have really done a good job in the classroom, on the field, on the practice field, trying to take the things that we're implementing and doing as good a job as we can with good effort, good intensity, good focus, and good finish. I think their minds are in the right spot. They understand that we have a very, very good opponent. Defending national champion, ranked #1, lead in a bunch of different defensive categories. Coached by Coach Venables again. I'd say he does a really good job with good players. So we're focused. We understand that there's a tough challenge ahead.
How have you seen Jalen develop over the time you've been here, especially when it comes to blocking out the business? Obviously, quarterbacks take a lot of heat and praise to win or loss.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that look, we're in a tough competitive industry. Whether it's playing in the SEC or beyond that, the limelight is on you. But you really have to control the things that you can control. And that's doing your job as good as you can do it on a day-to-day basis. Making sure you're studying the opponent, working hard in individual drills, taking care of the things that you need to take care of to improve, whether it's quarterback, running back, or coach, whoever it may be. That's where your focus has to be. Any place else, you're doing yourself and your team a disservice. So, we're trying to be locked in and do the things we need to do for that week or that game. And that's an approach that we take from week to week.
Coach, Brent Venables said that Alabama has the best group of running backs in the nation. What has it been like for you to coach the running backs this year, and how do you balance distributing football to those guys?
Yeah, look, I think Coach Burns does a fantastic job with all the guys. They're all talented. Been around, obviously, a lot of good players in my years of coaching. Very unselfish group. Look, there's one ball. So you have a lot of playmakers on your team, but each play you can distribute the ball to one person. So we do what we think is best. They're very unselfish, and I appreciate all the hard work and the things that they do. And they put a lot of work in as a group, not just individuals. They're a tight, close-knit group. We're going to need them to play well.
How much of a weapon is that to have so many guys that you can rotate in to kind of wear the defense down?
Well, look, you like to have as much depth as you can have on any team that you're coaching. So, it depends on who's got a hot hand or who's playing, as good as they can play that game. I think, having guys fresh is important. Fresh legs, and it doesn't matter if it's in the run game or the passing game. Whether it's a receiver, whether it's a back, whether it's a tight end, you try to utilize all the personnel you can use for that particular game. The guys that you trust, that are going to play the right way, that understand the plan, that have worked hard in practice. Coach Saban always talks about we earn everything we get, and that's kind of how it applies to the guys we're talking about.
Studying Clemson film from last year, what are the differences that you see? Any glaring differences, some change in schemes or different strengths?
No, I think that, like I said before, with Coach Venables' defense, it's a very multiple defense. He does things from the sideline. He can call things quick. There's a lot of different fronts you have to prepare for, and spacing, pressure package. I think he does a good job of week to week changing things up. It's not always the same. So it's really, the game within the game, like most games are in the business that we chose, is, you have to get a feel for how things are going, and he's going to try to keep you off balance, and we're going to try to do the same. And, you might be preparing for, look, you only get so many practice reps. So you got to go back to your fundamentals and your rules to base execution, because you might practice one play 5 times versus 5 different looks, and then in the game you get a completely different look. So that hasn't changed from what I've seen in the past from those guys. Again, they have really good players and they have a really good scheme, and they're where they're at for a reason. And we're going to have to be on top of our game.
Do you think they run less pressure just because the front seven is just that much better?
Well, look, depending on the game, you could get something completely different the next game. So it might be one game you see not a lot of pressures, the next game you do. You have to be prepared for all of it. That's what makes it so difficult and challenging to prepare for a team like this. Is there's plenty of multiples that you have to deal with. So how they choose to play us, I don't know. But we're going to have to trust our rules, our fundamentals, all the way back to spring ball. That's why you practice so much. That's why you get all these looks, because there's a rule and a fundamental to every play, and there's a lot of uncertainty when you're going into it.
Coach, where would you like to see your offense improve?
I think you try to improve as a coach. You try to improve in all areas every week, whether it's the run game, the pass game, pass protection, getting off on press coverage, reads. Each week I don't think you can ever be satisfied where you're at. So we try to improve everything every single week, because as it gets later in the season, if you're not improving, usually you're not where you want to be. So, and even when you get to a spot like this, there's again, you get critiqued and evaluated on every practice. Here, everybody's held accountable. Everybody's held accountable. So we have a bunch of guys that try to continually improve on a day-to-day basis, and that's what we need to do.
Following up on that a little bit, Coach Saban mentioned at the airport yesterday he thought you guys lost your identity near the end of the season. When that happens, can you get it back, especially when you have a month to get ready for a game like this?
Yeah. Look, we always want to be a tough, smart, competitive, selfless football team that performs well under pressure. That's kind of what we like to do. So, each week you go into a game trying to do those things. Not necessarily plays. You want to execute whatever plays that we think is best to run against those teams. But I have a lot of confidence in these young men. They've prepared very hard. They're focused. Again, the challenge is great, but the confidence and what they bring to the practice field and the classroom every day, I have a lot of confidence in it.
You mentioned the preparation aspect of it all. I mean, is it almost kind of like going through camp again with this much time between games?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a little different. It's a little different. You're out on the road recruiting some, and you get back and you have a lot of time to really study the opponent. Some when you're not on the practice field, and other times when you get going here early. So, you try to analyze every piece of information you can use that'll give you an advantage. But the time gap is definitely a little different for me.
kind of big picture question here, going back
Sure.
with Jalen. What were some of the attributes when you studied him when you first got to Alabama? What were things you wanted to try and exploit, build on? Some areas you saw a lot of growth potential.
Yeah, well, they've done a good job here at this school with Coach Saban for a long time. And, you know, as a coach, your job is to tell the player what to do, show them how to do it, and really help them get there. So each position is unique. You know, for the quarterback position, we really want to be good decision makers. We want to protect the football, and we want to lead our team down the field to score points. It doesn't matter if it's 20 passes or 20 runs. You know, there's a lot of things that go into playing quarterback. You know, run checks. You know, different techniques. It's not just hand the ball off. You know, he has a lot of input in terms of the running game when we get going in the running game, and the distribution of the blockers, and you know where the point is and things like that. So, you know, decision making, leading the team down to score points, and protecting the football. Those are three things that we always emphasize.
Coach, it's your first college football playoff game, but you've certainly coached in several playoff games at the NFL level. Is there a correlation you can pull from your experience there?
Look, this is an awesome environment. So, you know, my experience in a Super Bowl or a playoff game with the team that we're playing, you know, doesn't really have much bearing. You know, the preparation and trying to stay level-headed and know that, you know, you have a huge game ahead of yourself. You know, being in some of those type of games, you know, just me personally, you know, you kind of, just like anybody that have been doing something for a long time, you learn and you grow as you go, and experiences can help just your mindset and how you deal with players. But in terms of, you know, coaching in this game is really, this is its own entity, and fortunate and privileged to be here.
Brian, you mentioned critiques and evaluations a while ago after every practice. Fans and media tend to do a lot of that too.
Sure.
Does that just kind of go with the territory being an offensive coordinator at a major college program?
Yeah, look, everybody has a job to do. You guys have a job to do. We have a job to do, and you know, I respect everything that you guys do. You know, it's not an easy job what you guys do either. So, you know, you try to do the best you can do. You prepare as hard as you can prepare. You focus on the things you need to focus on. And you do the best you can for your players and your team, and that's where your focus has to be. You know, everybody understands the nature of the business that we're in, and you know, you embrace it.
Brian, 5 more minutes.
Brian, do you second guess yourself after games? Like after the Iron Bowl, there's a lot of criticism about not running.
Yeah, I think, look, whatever game it is, whether you win or you lose, there's always an evaluation process that goes on with the entire game. So, you know, you look at things you did well, you look at things you can improve on, and you hone in on those things, and each week is a different week. You know, whether you win 66-0 or you lose a game, you know, you have to be consistent in your approach. I don't think you can be an up and down guy. You got to be consistent. And like I talked about with the improvement earlier on, that's what our job is as a coach, as a player, is to improve on the things we need to improve on. And you know, sometimes when it looks good on the scoreboard, it's not necessarily as good as you may say when you sit back as a coach and you watch it and say, boy, we left a lot of things out here, or we didn't do this really good. You know, you play to, you know, you finish the game regardless of the score or the situation. You don't worry about the scoreboard, and each week is a different week.
Brian, has Jalen even exceeded your expectations your first year in this program?
You know, I didn't have many expectations coming in here, other than, you know, I knew the guy that I was coming in here to work for. It's the reason why I came here. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the accomplishments that he has, but really how he runs a program, and the shared principles and values that he has for the organization. You know, that's kind of how I grew up in the business, starting with him as a graduate assistant working for Coach Belichick. And all the players, you know, Jalen, I think that the guy, the staff that has been here previously has done a great job of recruiting guys that fit that mold, and all these guys work extremely hard. You know, Jalen is an unbelievable worker, studier. You know, I appreciate all his efforts and the things he does to go out there and try to perform the best he can.
Coach, in your years in the NFL, I'm sure you've played in the Superdome, or coached in the Superdome a couple times. What do you kind of tell your guys about this environment, this building?
Look, every place is a different place. These guys have played in a lot of cool places. You know, that's a pretty cool thing being involved in the SEC, is the pageantry of the fan base. You know, wherever you may go, it was really an unbelievable thing for me. So, you know, they've played in some different environments. Look, we played here back in '01 against St. Louis have been here. I was here when I was at Cleveland, Kansas City. The domes are, every situation is different. Every stadium is different. So what you always tell the players is, get out there early, you check the lights. Fortunately, we're practicing there. See where the 24 or 25-second clock is. Understand your surroundings, get used to the turf, so whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else, it's kind of we're pretty consistent with how we prepare for those things.
What have you learned from Coach Saban throughout this season?
Yeah, again, like I said, 14 of the 20 years I've been able to learn from him and Coach Belichick. And it's not just the football things, which they're incredibly bright football minds. They worked together when they were at Cleveland, like they've been in that room. But how they lead, how they handle, wins, how they handle loss, how they manage, different areas of the organization. But those two guys are unbelievable to work for. You learn a ton of lessons. You try to soak up as much as you can. You try to be yourself. But I couldn't ask for two better mentors that I've had in my coaching profession.
One last question.
You want to be a head coach someday?
I'm just focused on Clemson right now. I think everybody has goals and aspirations in this business, but to worry about that stuff right now, I think this doesn't do anybody any good.
Thanks, Coach. Hey, thank you. We
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.